Well, earlier I spoke to Evelyn Farkas, who served in the Obama administration as Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Russia, Ukraine and Eurasia, and is currently Executive Director of the McCain Institute. And I asked her why she thought the United States had decided to negotiate this deal so publicly.
Well, it sounds, David, like they didn't actually announce it right away, but some time has passed. And so they may be getting uncertain and a little bit nervous about what the Russian move is going to be, whether the Russians will accept this swap or not. I mean, if I had to predict, I think that the Russians will, because they have been almost desperate to get Vikto Bout, this arms trafficker, back into Russia, frankly, because I think he's a Russian operative. He was trained by the Russian intelligence services, served in the Russian military, I believe. Everything he was doing was very likely on the behest of the Russian government. If not on the behest, it was with the knowledge of the Russian government when he was doing it.
And you mentioned there Vikto Bout. He's the former, known as the Merchant of Death, a convicted arms trafficker. It's hardly a fair deal, some might say, exchanging him for Brittney Griner.
Well, of course, objectively, none of this is fair. Brittney Griner and Paul Whelan shouldn't be held like hostages in Russia, which purports to be, a member of the G20, a member of the Security Council, and yet acts like North Korea and Iran in seizing innocent Americans without due process and holding them without due process and rightful cause. So it's a problem from the get-go. But of course, the swap is in and of itself also not an equivalent situation, because Vikto Bout was found guilty in a U.S. court. He was extradited from Thailand after he was on the run for some time. Having said that, he has served a heavy chunk of his time that he was sentenced. And in fact, the judge who sentenced him in New York, she made a statement saying she could live with the consequences of the swap because, in her estimation, because he had served such a large portion of his time already, that in essence he had given justice its fair due, more or less.
Now, Antony Blinken and Sergei Lavrov hadn't spoken since before the start of the invasion of Ukraine, as far as I'm aware. How surprised are you that this deal is taking place at all?
Well, again, I'm not surprised, because the Russians very much want this individual. I am a little bit surprised that the Secretary of State is getting personally involved, but as your reporter pointed out, there's a lot of pressure on the White House, on President Biden, because of the prisoner swap that occurred recently to free the former Marine, who was, of course, sick, so they said it was a little different situation. But the pressure is there, and so the U.S. government is getting involved at the highest levels. It doesn't change the fact that Russia is an aggressive human rights smashing, killing machine right now in Ukraine and elsewhere, frankly. And it doesn't change the dynamic between the United States and Russia. But our interests here are aligned, so a swap should be possible.
Evelyn Farkas of the McCain Institute there.